Hillary Clinton and Donald Trump got two big wins tonight in the New York presidential primary. Neither of these two candidates were really expected to do quite as well as they did tonight. They were both expected to win, obviously, being the two front runners. But right now, as I'm making this video, with about 72% of the vote in, Hillary Clinton's winning by about 17 points in New York, with about 51% of the 58, percent of the vote. To Bernie Sanders is 42%. In the Republican side, Donald Trump's got about 60% of the vote to John Kasich's 25, and Ted Cruz's 15%, which is a lot better than people were expecting Donald Trump to do. He was obviously expected to win given the fact he's from New York. He pretty much got a start in New York, built a huge company in Manhattan, things like that, as he always brags about. But there was really this question of whether or not he would get the 51 plus percent vote that is needed in order to get all 95 delegates that are available in New York on the Republican side. So it looks like he's going to get that, barring some miraculous comeback on John Kasich's part. But the thing is, the way that their congressional districts are set up in New York, it's kind of weird. So he may actually lose a couple delegates because John Kasich and Ted Cruz are winning in a couple congressional districts around New York City. So it'll be interesting to see how those play out throughout the rest of the evening and going into tomorrow, when there'll probably be more finality in terms of the delegates that were allocated. Now, Donald Trump really needs a big result tonight in terms of getting those delegates, because if he doesn't go into the convention with 1237 delegates, he's probably not going to get the nomination, because if it goes to an open convention and people are fighting on the convention floor to get delegates, and he doesn't get it on the first ballot, those delegates become unbound and they can go for whoever they want. So basically, whoever the Republican establishment tells them to go with. So if Donald Trump doesn't get 1237 before that convention in Cleveland, it's very likely that he won't be the Republican nominee. So he'll be hoping that he can capture all 95 delegates tonight and keep on pace for that. He's lost the last 5 contests, so he needs a big next couple weeks in Pennsylvania and in Rhode Island, all those states on the East Coast that vote next week. On the Democratic side, which is really what I'm itching to talk about, Hillary Clinton just dominated Bernie Sanders tonight, which is really surprising. Just putting aside the fact that I support Hillary Clinton, at that debate on last week that I made a video about, Bernie Sanders completely destroyed her on every issue there was, with the exception of that Sandy Hook gun lobby debate that the mini debate that they had, and also on foreign affairs. But other than that, I mean, Bernie Sanders completely destroyed her. So I thought, having won 8 out of 9 states coming into the New York primary, which is by no stretch of the imagination a small feat, that Bernie Sanders would have the momentum and would be able to go on and pull off an upset in New York, kind of like what he did in Michigan. Now, he was given like a 1% chance to win tonight, but keep in mind he had similar odds in Michigan and he pulled out an upset. But it looks like that's not going to happen. Now, what this does tonight, in my personal opinion, and I think you'll find with most people who follow politics, Bernie Sanders already had a very slim likelihood of being the Democratic nominee. And now with this loss by the margin it's by, I definitely think that this pretty much makes it impossible for Bernie Sanders to win the Democratic nomination. So going forward, the tone that Bernie Sanders uses at Hillary Clinton, obviously he was coming at her with all those qualification things. He was coming at the debate about Wall Street speeches, the donations that she was taking from Wall Street, the private dinners with the Clooneys in LA, things like that. It'll be interesting to see if Bernie Sanders changes the rhetoric that he's using against Hillary Clinton, because he realizes, hey, perhaps this is weakening the eventual nominee for a general election in November. And it'll also be interesting to see how he tries to unite the party, or how Hillary Clinton tries to smooth over tension with Bernie voters, given the fact that a new poll came out today that was saying that 30% of Bernie supporters would not back Hillary Clinton in any circumstance in a general election. So definitely a little bit of a rift growing there. And, Hillary Clinton's lost a presidential nomination race before. Bernie Sanders has not. And after you put in a lot of work like this and you go after someone so hard for such a long time, it's really hard to kind of change the rhetoric and say, hey, let's be friends. Let's get our supporters to be friends too. I mean, I'm sure a lot of you guys have seen the corporate shill and like corporate horror comments on like YouTube videos and like TYT, the Young Turks videos and things like that. So it's really gonna be tough, I think, for those two sects to come together. But at the end of the day, hopefully something like that can happen, and they come together to gel and makes the Democratic Party strong going into the general election. Also, I've heard, just a little bit of a side before I kind of end the video. I've noticed like a lot of pro Bernie channels, like Secular Talk and the Young Turks. They're kind of saying like, hey, if Bernie Sanders, comes close in New York, it's like a victory. And a lot of people who go on CNN and other mainstream media channels and like the pro Bernie people, they'll say that all the time. And I just think to myself, like, how is that? How is losing in any fashion a win? Now, I know the Democratic Party does that partial allocation thing, so the delegates are not winner take all. It's based on the amount of votes you get and the districts you win. But still, I really just can't see in any circumstance how a loss, no matter how close it is a win, because I guarantee if you flip that circumstance and you went to TYT and you said, hey, did Hillary Clinton win in Iowa? It would be no, or not Iowa, but what's another state she lost by a close margin? Michigan. It would be a no, she lost. So those are just something that I was thinking about. And that pretty much wraps it up, guys. Big results for both of the front runners tonight. Pretty much looking like the race on both sides may be done. Donald Trump's going to have a lot of work going forward. Hillary Clinton's probably going to start switching her tone towards Donald Trump, and the Republicans for a general election face off. Next week, I believe Pennsylvania and a couple other eastern states are voting, so I may do a video breaking down that. Not quite sure yet how my schedule is going to be working out for that week, but if I do, I'll definitely let you guys know on a future video. If you guys did enjoy the video, please be sure to drop a like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys in my next video, guys. I'm out.